Far away, past the stars that humans know, there drifts a lonely planet wrapped in endless water. No mountains, no deserts, only a shining ocean that stretches forever. This world has a name whispered only in explorer maps: Aqualis 9. But Aqualis 9 is not silent. Deep below its silver waves live strange cities, glowing with light, built by alien hands. Their towers rise like coral, and their roads shine like rivers of stars. And hidden in these waters is a legend, a story about a mermaid who guards something no one dares to speak of. One night, across the galaxy, a cry breaks the silence. A signal is sent from the heart of Aqualis 9. It is not a greeting. It is a warning. A broken, shivering voice echoes through space. Do not come. Do not wake it. The ocean sleeps, but not forever. The warning drifts across star systems until it reaches a small human ship, the Starlight Voyager. Inside, Captain Arya listens in silence. Her crew looks to her, uneasy. The message is clear. Danger lives on this water world. Yet their orders are to explore, to map, to learn. And Captain Arya knows turning away is not an option. When they land, the ocean greets them with stillness. No waves crash, no birds call. The air feels heavy, as if the planet itself is holding its breath. The crew sets up camp on black rocks by the shore. Strange stone pillars rise nearby, carved with symbols that no human mind can read. At night, the stars reflect like fireflies on the water. Beautiful, but too quiet. Then, the singing begins. At first, it is soft, like a hum carried by the wind. But soon, the melody grows, gentle, haunting, and full of sorrow. The crew freezes, their hearts racing. Who is singing on a world no one should live on? From the shadows beneath the waves, glowing eyes open. They watch. They wait. The melody drifts closer, dear, as if pulling the humans to the edge of the shore. The Starlight Voyager touched down on the dark shore of Aqualis 9. The ground was sharp and rocky, black as glass, as if fire had once raged here. The crew stepped out, their boots crunching against stone, while the endless ocean stretched before them like a mirror of the sky. They set up their small camp by the shore. Tents glowed with faint lights, machines hummed, and scanners swept the horizon. Yet no one spoke much. The silence of the world pressed against them, heavier than any storm. Not far from their landing site stood a circle of tall stone pillars. They rose out of the ground like the teeth of some giant beast. Each pillar was marked with strange symbols, carved deep, glowing faintly in the moonlight. The lines twisted and curved like weaving, but none of the explorers could understand them. Language, whispered First Officer Kane, tracing one with his hand. Or warning signs, Captain Arya answered, her voice firm. The crew worked through the day, setting sensors near the ocean, trying to measure the depth, but the readings came back broken, as if the water went on forever. The scanners showed strange movements below, but never clear. Shapes, shadows, something alive. That night, as the stars spread across the sky, the camp grew quiet. The firelight flickered against the black rocks. Then, from the ocean, a sound rose. It was not wind, not waves. It was a voice. Soft, low at first, a haunting tune carried by the water. The song curled through the night air, wrapping around the camp like a ghost. It was beautiful and sad, yet also heavy with warning. The crew froze, eyes wide. Some leaned closer to listen, others covered their ears, unsettled. "Do you hear that?" whispered one. "It's singing," another answered, trembling. Captain Arya stood still, her gaze fixed on the horizon. The melody was not random. It was calling. Someone knows we are ire, she said quietly. The crew stirred nervously, glancing at one another. The song grew louder, drifting between sorrow and anger. It was almost human, yet not. Almost welcoming, yet filled with danger. And as the last notes faded into the night, the ocean seemed to sigh, as if the world itself had spoken. Captain Arya narrowed her eyes at the dark waves. "This isn't chance," she murmured. Someone is trying to warn us." The crew shivered, knowing that their landing was not a discovery. It was the beginning of something far greater and far more dangerous. The next day on Aqualis 9 was heavy with silence. The ocean stretched far and calm, yet the crew felt the weight of the song still echoing in their ears. No one dared to speak of it, but each heart carried unease. By evening, the explorers gathered near the shore, checking their scanners again. The machines blinked with strange readings, movements far below, but never clear. Kane, the first officer, grew restless. "Maybe it's nothing," he said, walking closer to the water. "Maybe just currents." But the ocean was not still. The surface rippled, though no wind blew. Kane leaned over, scanning with his device. Then suddenly, the rocks beneath his boots cracked. He slipped, falling into the black water. The crew shouted, rushing forward. The ocean pulled Kane under, swallowing him. The waves churned violently, though only moments ago they had been calm. "Rope! Lights!" Captain Arya ordered, her voice sharp. The crew scrambled, but the water was too dark, too deep. Kane's figure vanished into the shadows. And then the glow appeared. From beneath the waves, a shimmer like moonlight moved upward. A figure rose, carrying Kane in her arms. Her body glowed as if made of living starlight. Long silver hair streamed around her, and her tail shimmered with lines of glowing light. Gasps filled the air. The crew froze. The mermaid laid Kane gently on the rocks, his body coughing, water spilling from his lungs. She did not look at him. Her eyes, glowing, deep, unblinking, locked on Captain Arya. No words were spoken, only silence and the sound of Kane's ragged breaths. The crew stared in awe, fear mixed with wonder. And then, without warning, the mermaid turned. She held something small in her hand, a shell glowing with soft blue light. She placed it gently on the rock beside Kane. For a moment, her gaze softened, almost human. Then she slipped back into the ocean, us vanishing with barely a ripple. The crew rushed to Kane, helping him to his feet. His voice shook. She pulled me up. I couldn't breathe. And then she was just there. Captain Arya picked up the glowing shell. It pulsed faintly, as though alive, light flickering inside it like a heartbeat. "This isn't just a creature," she whispered. "She understands. She thinks." The crew huddled close, fear and curiosity in their eyes. The ocean lay calm once more, but every heart knew the truth. The mermaid had chosen to save Kane. She had chosen to leave them a gift. She was no wild animal of the sea. She was something far greater, intelligent, watching, and hiding a secret too dangerous to speak. The glowing shell sat in the center of the camp, pulsing like a tiny heart. None of the crew touched it at first. They only watched, uneasy, as its soft blue light rose and fell, as if it were breathing. At last, Captain Arya placed it on the scanner table. "If she gave this to us," she said firmly, "it must mean something. Let's see what it can do." The moment the scanners touched the shell, the air above it shimmered. A beam of light rose upward, and in an instant, a hologram burst into view. The crew gasped and stepped back. It was an ocean. endless, deep, blacker than night. But far below, chained in the shadows, lay something massive, its body twisted with dark tendrils, eyes glowing red like dying suns. Even though it was only an image, its presence was crushing, like a weight pressing against their very bones. The hologram shifted, showing flashes of worlds, stars burning, cities torn apart, whole systems collapsing into dust. "This thing," whispered Kane, voice trembling. "It destroyed them, whole star systems." The crew exchanged fearful looks. Some wanted to shut it off. Others could not look away. The image shifted again. Now it showed the mermaid standing before the creature, her hands glowing with light. Chains of energy spread from her body, holding the monster down. Her song, the haunting melody they had heard before, was shown as waves of power, sealing the creature in the dark. "She's not just a myth," Captain Arya said slowly. "She's a guardian. The last one." The hologram grew darker. Symbols lit the ocean floor, forming a seal like a giant lock. Then, to the crew's horror, the image shifted to show human figures. Divers, miners, explorers, breaking the rocks, drilling into the ocean bed. The seal cracked, the chains snapped, and the shadow stirred awake. The message was clear. If the humans disturbed the depths of Aqualis 9, the Creed, Acher would rise again. The hologram ended. The shell's glow dimmed, falling silent once more. The crew stood frozen. Some were pale, some sweating. All were shaken. "So that's why she warned us," one whispered. "That's why she sang." Captain Arya stared out at the black water, her expression hard. "She gave us a choice," she said. "Stay away from the ocean floor, or risk bringing death, not just to us, but to every world in the galaxy." The camp grew silent again, the only sound the faint hum of the machines. But every mind was filled with the same thought. The mermaid was not their enemy. She was their only shield. The camp was restless after the shell's warning. No one slept. Some stared at the dark horizon. Others whispered in low voices. The weight of the secret pressed on them like a storm ready to break. At dawn, the crew gathered around Captain Arya. The air was sharp with tension. "We all saw it," Arya said. "We know the truth now. This planet is not safe. We should leave before we make a mistake." But her words did not calm them. Instead, voices rose. "There are crystals under that ocean," said Helix, the ship's engineer. His eyes gleamed with greed. "Rare energy stones, worth more than a lifetime of pay. Do you know what that could mean for Earth? For us?" Another crew member nodded quickly. "If the mermaid can keep the monster locked away, then maybe it's not a danger at all. Maybe it's just a story." Captain Arya's voice cut sharp. "You saw the hologram? That wasn't a story. That was a warning. But greed is a strong poison." Some whispered of fortune, of glory. Others looked afraid, wanting only to leave. The crew began to split, voices clashing in anger. And then the ocean stirred. Ripples spread across the still water. A glow rose from beneath the waves, soft at first, then brighter. The crew fell silent, every eye turning. From the depth, the mermaid appeared. Silver hair floated around her face, and her glowing tail lit the dark sea. She came closer to the shore, her eyes locked on the humans. For a long moment, she said nothing. Only the waves spoke. Then, slowly, with a stomach comfort, she formed words in broken human speech. "If you take it wakes." The crew froze. Her voice was low, trembling, as if speaking hurt her. She raised her hand toward the black horizon. The water trembled as if something far below had stirred. "If you break, seal, it comes. Not just here, everywhere." Her glowing eyes burned with sorrow and warning. The camp was silent, the cha-us clear before them. Leave and live, or take and awaken doom. Yet Helix stepped forward, shaking his head. She's trying to scare us. She wants the crystals for herself. This is just a trick. Others muttered, agreeing, their eyes filled with hunger, but half the crew stood with Captain Arya, fear heavy in their hearts. Two sides, two choices. The mermaid lowered her gaze, sadness deep in her glowing eyes. Then without another word, she vanished beneath the waves, leaving the crew divided on the black shore. The ocean was quiet again, too quiet, and the worst part was clear. Not everyone planned to obey her warning. Night fell heavy on Aqualis 9. The campfires burned low, shadows crawling across the black rocks. Most of the crew tried to sleep, though fear kept their eyes open. But one man did not rest. Helix. Greed burned in his chest like fire. He could not forget the glowing crystals shown in the hologram. Riches, power, fame, all waiting below the waves. He told himself the mermaid was lying, that the seal was just an old story, that he was brave enough to take what others feared. Silently, he slipped away from camp. He carried a diving suit and a small drill. No one saw him enter the water. The black ocean swallowed him whole. Down he sank, deeper and deeper. His light cut through the darkness, showing strange coral towers and broken ruins. And then he saw them. Crystals. They jutted from the ocean floor like spears of blue fire, glowing faintly with energy. His heart pounded. Riches beyond measure, right in his hands. He reached out with the drill. The moment the tool touched the first crystal, the water shivered. The seabed cracked, glowing lines spreading out like veins of fire. The seal weakening. Above, and on the shore, the sleeping crew awoke to the sound of the ocean roaring. The calm waters churned violently. Waves rose, crashing against the rocks. The sky darkened, storm clouds rolling in with unnatural speed. Captain Arya shouted orders, trying to steady the camp, but then a cry tore through the storm. The mermaid rose from the sea, her glow brighter than ever, her voice filled with fear and rage. "It's waking!" she screamed, her words sharp and clear. The crew froze, hearts pounding. Beneath the waves, something moved. A massive shadow shifted, stretching, as if the ocean itself were alive. Red sparks flickered in the depths like eyes opening for the first time in Ajay. Helix's drill shattered in his hands as the crystals cracked, their light spilling out in wild streams. He screamed, bubbles rushing to the surface as the ocean floor split open beneath him. The storms grew stronger. The waters boiled. The seal was breaking. And now, the monster of Aqualis 9 was stirring. The storm raged over Aqualis 9, waves striking the black shore like hammers. Lightning tore the sky, revealing glimpses of something vast moving beneath the water. Captain Arya stood firm, her crew clinging to the rocks in fear. The mermaid rose before them, glowing brighter than the storm. Her voice cut through the roar of the ocean. "Come with me or all die." There was no time for debate. Arya grabbed her diving gear, ordering the others to follow. Helix was still lost below, but the danger now was far greater than one man's greed. One by one, the humans plunged into the raging sea. The mermaid swam ahead, her tail glowing like a beacon, leading them down into the black. Deeper and deeper they sank. The storm above faded, replaced by silence. But the silence was not peace. It was the breathless stillness before disaster. At last, they saw it. The seal, a massive circle etched into the ocean floor, its lines glowing faintly, cracking under pressure. Around it stood alien machines, half buried in coral and ruin. They were ancient guardians, built of strange metal, shaped like towers and wings. Though damaged, some still stirred to life, glowing faintly as if recognizing the mermaid's presence. She swam to them, placing her hands on their broken surfaces. At her touch, they awoke, beams of light spreading like chains over the cracking seal. But the chains trembled. They were too weak to hold. Then the shadow moved. The ocean floor shook. Red light spilled through the cracks as the monster pushed against its prison. A sound rolled through the depths, not a roar, but something worse, a low, endless groan that rattled the bones of every human who heard it. The crew's scanners screamed with warnings. "It's breaking through," Kane shouted, his voice shaking. Captain Arya raised her weapon, though she knew it was useless. "Tell us what to do," she cried to two. He, mermaid. The mermaid's glowing eyes met hers. "Together," she said simply. With no time to question, the crew linked their gear to the alien machines. Their energy packs hummed, sending power into the ancient guardians. Lights surged brighter, chains glowing stronger, weaving around the seal. The ocean rumbled, the shadow pushing harder. A claw, huge, black, burning with red fire, slammed against the chains. The water shook. The seal cracked wider. The mermaid sang. Her voice rose like thunder, a song of sorrow and power. Waves of light rippled from her body, striking the seal, strengthening the chains. The humans pushed their machines to the limit, feeding her song with energy. For a moment, it held. The monster strained, but the lock resisted. But then, another crack. A massive eye opened in the darkness, red as a dying sun, staring at them all. Suspense hung heavy. The battle was not won. The monster was waking. The ocean shook with fury. The seal cracked wider, beams of red light spilling into the deep. The monster's claws tore at the glowing chains, its eye burning like a star gone mad. The humans struggled, their machines straining to hold. The mermaid sang louder, but her voice was weakening. Captain Arya's heart pounded. "We can't hold it," she shouted. "It's breaking free." The mermaid turned to her, sorrow in her glowing eyes. Slowly, she raised her hand to her chest, and then the truth revealed itself. Her body began to shine, brighter than before. Lines of light spread through her skin, flowing like rivers. Her tail, her hair, her very form. It was not only flesh and blood, it was living technology, fused with the ocean itself. She was not just a guardian. She was part of the ancient machines. The humans gasped as realization struck. "She is the key," Kane whispered. The mermaid placed her hand on the broken seal. At once, the chains glowed brighter, fed by her very essence. The machines roared to life, drawing power from her body, but her face was calm, her song steady. "Wait!" Arya cried, reaching for her. "You'll burn yourself out." The mermaid shook her head. Her voice, though weak, carried through the water. "My duty, my secret, to keep it sleeping." Her light grew stronger, wrapping around the monster's claw. The chains tightened, binding it once more. The red eye shrieked, fading into the deep as the cracks closed. The ocean floor sealed again, the shadow sinking back into eternal silence. The battle was won, but the cost was clear. The mermaid's glow began to fade. Her body shimmered, breaking into streams of silver light that flowed into the machines. Her song slowed, softer now, like a lullaby. Arya swam forward, reaching out, but her hand touched only water. The mermaid's form dissolved into the ocean, her presence slipping away. Only her voice, sea remained, echoing in the depths, carried by the waves. "Protect the secret, or it will return." Silence followed. The waters grew calm once more. The ancient seal stood strong, glowing faintly with the power of her final gift. The crew rose back toward the surface, heavy with sorrow and awe. The storm above had passed. The stars shone again over Aqualis 9. On the shore, Captain Aria stood in silence, staring at the endless ocean. She held the glowing shell close to her chest, the only trace left of the mermaid. They had survived. The monster was sealed. But the secret of the Little Mermaid of Aqualis 9 would never leave their hearts, and far beneath the waves, her song still lingered, hidden in the currents. A warning for all who dared to disturb the deep. Protect the secret, or it will return.